So this is a picture, and we're going back into this beautiful book, The Garden of Peace, of the male aspect, of the male dove, which was taken from the first page, coming down to bring the bracha to his wife. So the question is, that is the bracha to the nest, to the family. It's up to the male, and that's what we see in this picture. Let's continue on with what we've been learning. This is just, to me, is just such a tremendous idea. I haven't read this book in a long time. It set me years back, 10, 15 years ago, whenever this book came out, in a much better path with my wife than I'd ever been in before. But now I'm reading it a second time. It's reinforcing some of the ideas that it was able to, this basic idea that she's a reflection of you, and when she's mad at you, you got to start looking at what you're doing. Now, that's not so easy to do. We have so many pressures with us in business and in so many other things, illnesses and all different kinds of things. We need Hashem's help, no question. But here's a practical guide. Question is, why did Sarah laugh? Now, that's when Sarah was told that she was going to have a child. She's 90 years old. She's told us, how is it possible that she's going to be able to do this? She laughs. The Torah in Parshas Vayera relates how the angels promised Abraham a son within the coming year. From inside her tent, Sarah heard them and laughed. Hashem reprimanded Abraham and asked, why did Sarah laugh? So in other words, the comment comes from Hashem, but it comes at Abraham. Why would she laugh? Doesn't she believe in my ability to give her a child despite her old age? The question is, why did Hashem reprimand Abraham? She should have said something to her. Our sages tell us that Sarah was a prophet too, on an even loftier spiritual level than he was. Why didn't Hashem reveal himself directly to her and ask her why she laughed? From here, we learn that everything a wife does is rooted in her husband. Although we have no concept of Abraham and Sarah's legendary spiritual plateau, that level in which they live, at their level, her laugh was a reflection of a slight blemish in emunah on her part. Where did she get the blemish on her emunah? This explained why Hashem represented Abraham for something that Sarah did. Her manifest flaw is really his flaw. The sun and the moon. According to Kabbalah, an important principle of creation is that the male, which we said this is the dove that's bringing the shofar to the next, is the giver and the female is the receiver. That's the law of Kabbalah. The husband resembles the sun and the wife resembles the moon. She has no light of her own. This is a basic Kabbalistic principle. Only the light that he shines on her. It's like the sun shines on the moon. It's the same metaphor. Therefore, her darkness is a sign of his insufficient illumination. A husband who fails to work on himself and improve his character can't possibly shine the light of his wife on his wife that she needs. Since the husband is the giver, he must honor his wife, grant her warmth, love, joy, and security. He must be a living example of emunah for her. But when a husband comes home looking for a handout, he wants something from her, demands respect, understanding, attention, and the like, then he assumes the spiritual character of a female. That is, the male starts acting like a female, since he wants to be the recipient. Even though a woman often gives, this is the outcome of Hashem's desire to give him a pat on the back, encourage him further. Person will definitely get what he deserves, whether encouragement and respect, or a slap in the face and verbal abuse. Now we have a section here called the speaker system. Hashem completely programs the woman. Not only is her husband's mirror, as she acts as her husband's mirror, she is also Hashem's speaker system. So when she talks to you, you got to listen. Hashem speaks to the husband through his wife. Imagine that you're listening to your FM radio. You're invested in an expensive speaker system with tweeters, bass, and woofers housed in an expensive mahogany casing. You're listening to a radio broadcast and the speakers start hurling all kinds of insults and epithets at you. Would you be angry at your speaker system, grab your speakers one by one and smash them on the floor? Of course not. The guilty party could be broadcasting from a studio that's hundreds or even thousands of miles away from your whereabouts. Your speaker system certainly isn't responsible despite the fact that it's emitted sounds. The same goes for your wife's anger, yelling, disrespect, and verbal abuse. I say this many times. Your wife will say things to you that other people, they said to you, you couldn't tolerate it. She's not the one who's talking. Hashem is. He speaks through her. For that reason, the husband should listen to what she has to say, even when it stings. He should no sooner be upset with her than he would be at his stereo speaker system. Now how about the tape deck? Wife also resembles Hashem's tape deck. He inserts the discs that her husband needs to hear. When Hashem wants to encourage the husband, the wife speaks words of kindness and reinforcement. When Hashem wants to arouse a husband to tshuva, the wife speaks words of insult and anger. Does it now make sense to blame a distasteful CD recording on the tape deck? In essence, that's what the wife is. Hashem's tape deck. Arguing with her or retaliating is like arguing and retaliating against the tape deck, a totally absurd notion. Rather than fighting against Hashem's tape deck, the husband should open his ears and listen to Hashem's message, no matter how unpleasant it may be. We often see that apparently model husbands will suffer insults from their wives. Despite the husband's outer conduct, Hashem knows his innermost dimensions, because your wife is talking about your panemius, your insides. She's connected to you in the most deep possible way. Hashem therefore does what needs to stimulate self-assessment and tshuva. Sometimes a wife reacts in a way that certainly doesn't seem to reflect the husband's behavior. This is a clear sign that Hashem is relaying a message for him by way of her. This is not to diminish the wife. It's just the workings of the husband-wife pair. Let's assume that Marty is a model husband. He always comes straight home from work. He helps around the house as much as he can. One day he came home after doing all the food shopping for Shabbat. He spared no expense in buying his wife's favorite meats and sweets. He walks in the door and boom, she's like a howitzer. It fires a 155 millimeter bombshell right between his eyes. He can't understand what's happening to him. Marty did everything to please her. Now she's pouring hot coals of anger and insults all over him. Why is she so angry? Why did Hashem insert a CD of wrath into her heart, into her throat? While shopping, Marty was staring at a strange woman, contaminating his eyes and blemishing his soul. His wife has no idea what he did, but Hashem knows exactly where, when, and what Marty did. Hashem made her react the way she did. He injected her with a dose of anger and frayed nerves so that she'd trigger her husband's urgent soul searching. That way, Marty would realize that he did something wrong that required immediate tshuva. When a person walks in the street and looks at a woman, even if he comes home with baskets full of gifts, wine, and sweet song, his wife will shoot him down. This is a message from Hashem. You looked at what you weren't supposed to look at, you were bombarded. The principle that a wife is her husband's mirror, his tape deck and speaker system, is the main reason why he should never criticize her. Let's imagine a few more reasons why one should never make comments or criticize his wife. So first he writes, number 1. Comments are debilitating. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, notice how he spells Breslov with an E. It's supposed to be the concept of basar lev, the soft heart. Explains that a person that isn't worthy of reprimanding others shouldn't make comments and remarks to people, especially to his wife. Rabbi Nachman says like this: even though chastisement is a lofty thing, and each Jew has a duty to chastise his neighbor when the latter acts awry. For it's written, "You shall chastise your neighbor." Even so, not everyone is worthy of reprimanding others. Rabbi Akiva said, "I'm surprised if there's anyone in this generation that's worthy of reprimanding others." Now this is 2,000 years ago. If Rabbi Akiva said that about his generation, a generation of spiritual giants, let me see if we get a little focus on here. 1 second. And holy men, then we certainly can reprove others in this generation. Rabbi Nachman continues to explain that chastisement from an unworthy person is not only ineffective but damaging as well. It's remindful of an object with a foul odor. As long as you don't push and prod the object, it doesn't exude any bad smell. But as soon as you move or prod the object, it exudes a foul odor. The same goes for a soul. If the soul has transgressed, then the chastisement is like prodding the soul and arousing the soul's blemishes and uncorrected traits, which give off a spiritual foul odor that cuts these souls off from their source of divine abundance. A soul thrives from aroma. So when the person who chastifies arouses the foul odor of the soul, that soul is debilitated and consequently cut off from divine abundance. But when the person that chastises is worthy of reprimanding others, then his chastisement arouses the good aroma of that soul. For one's chastisement must be on the level of Moses' chastisement. Now, in order to reprimand other people, a person must be on the spiritual level of a Moses. And if Rabbi Akiva said that there was no one in his lofty generation of the Tanoim, the Mishnaic sages, that was qualified to rebuke others, if there was nobody that was able to do that then, and Rabbi Nachman the Brother said the same thing about his generation, also generations of giants such as the Choser from Lubin, the cousins of Maggid, and the Rebbe Mendele of Rimanov, these are Chassidim, but there's also the generation of the Vilna Gaon, then we certainly can't make even the slightest remark to another person, especially our wives. Thus, those who continue to remark and comment about others and to criticize them are making a grave mistake. The Torah requires a person to reprimand his fellow man, only if he doesn't do harm to that person. True chastisement is designed to release the burden of sin from a person's shoulders. The reprimands that come from the mouth of an unworthy person simply call attention to the burden of his sin and make it an even more unbearable burden. Most reprimands weaken people and break their hearts. They say to themselves, if I'm such a loser and everything I do is wrong, how can there ever be hope for me? Many fall into despair and give up their struggle to improve. Some may even fall by the wayside and throw off the yoke of Torah and mitzvahs altogether. So rather than helping others, the person that criticizes and chastises does grave damage. The Chazon Ish of blessed memory gave a ruling that there is no one that properly knows how to reprimand in this generation, and therefore we must show love toward our neighbor. Up until now, we've been speaking about a man and his fellow man. What about a wife? A wife is all the more in need of her husband's sensitivity, his respect, and constant encouragement. Comments and criticisms are devastating to her. A wife's entire vitality depends on her husband's kind words to her. So we'll stop right here as we're in these different kinds of categories that he's bringing us, and we'll see what we can do on the next year. This is Baruch Fleischman. You're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kola.